Femap 2401 provides a new and more efficient way for creating composite finite element structures with various layups from a new dockable pane called the Layup Builder. If you were familiar with creating composites in previous versions, you would need to make a laminate property with a corresponding layup that defined the stack up and assign that to different areas or regions of the mesh, and then repeat that for all other areas. So let's see how the new Layup Builder can provide a different approach and potentially more efficient way of creating composite finite element models. As mentioned, this is a dockable pane found under Tools, Layup Builder. So for this demo, I'll just dock it over to the right side here, and we can build one from scratch. Like the existing layout manager, the Layup Builder is constructed from a table, so let's start by adding a new stack. In the column headers at the top, you will see some different categories on the info you can set for each ply you will be adding. So from left to right here, we have an on-off column, basically determines whether the individual ply will be added when building the layups. You have a title, which is more for bookkeeping purposes. This is optional. Global ply, if you want to assign a global ply to each row here, again, optional. Material, thickness, angle, and direction, giving a vector, whether this is going to set the material direction, and the rest of them be based off of that. And then your standard entity selection, which will allow you to select elements, surfaces, or groups that will grab the associated elements in there. Okay, so let's get started creating a couple plies, but before we do that, I'm going to turn off the title column just for simplicity here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is assign a material. I can use the drop down and select what material I want to add, but then I'd have to add the thickness as well. One thing for ease, I can right click and use a ply material that I already have. Let's start with my unidirectional ply, and this already brings in the associated thickness from that ply material. I can set the angle. I'm going to leave this at 0 degrees based off of a given direction that I'm going to set. So because this is the first ply I'm adding, I'm going to set my fiber direction. Let's just pick a vector along our global -z axis. And then what I'm going to do here is right click on this column and say use this ply to set the material orientation. So what that's going to do is basically give my model a base to work off. And as I mentioned, you can select elements, surfaces, or groups. For this first ply, I'm going to apply this to all of my elements in my model here. Okay, let's go ahead and use our command bar at the top to add another row. In this case, we're creating another ply. Let's set it using a ply material. This time we'll do a weave ply, and we're going to set this at 45 degrees off of our base. Again, in this case, because it's setting our material direction from this vector, we're going to go 45 degrees off of that, and we're just going to select all of our elements again. Here's the benefit of the Layup Builder. Let's say I would need some reinforcement in a specific area. In this case, this bend area on my bracket. I don't need to go and create another layup, an additional property, and then go assign that to the specific region. In this case, I can do it within the table here. So let's go ahead and add 2 rows at the top here. Let's set both of these to a unidirectional ply. The thickness is already filled from using the ply material. And I'm going to set both of these to a fiber angle of 90, and that's 90 degrees based off of this ply. So again, the -z axis, and this is setting the material orientation. So instead of using elements, this time I'm going to go select surfaces to apply this to. Okay, so now we've gotten to a point where we've added a couple additional plies in specific areas here. Let's go ahead and view some of these. highlight the elements they're applied to. Of course, these are on all the elements, and let's just run down here and kind of get a view on where these are located in the different areas. So now we can let Femap do the rest of the work. All we have to do is hit the build layups. It's going to go in and run through this table and see where to apply them to and which are the corresponding properties it needs to create. So we have 5 properties and layups on those elements. Let's go ahead and update those. And just for viewing purposes, let's go ahead and change all the colors on the properties. Let's randomize these so we can see the different areas. So now you can see a good composition of how this part was constructed via the Layup Builder. And you can also see the arrows of the material direction, again, based off of this original ply that we set.